Hope you're ready because guess what?
Yeah,
We're live. We're live.
It's
dude.
Tuesday.
We did it. It's Tuesday. Andy, take it away.
What time is it? What time is it? It's prime time. It's prime time. What time is it? What time is it? It's prime time. It's prime time. Oh yeah! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Jay's giggling for some reason. I don't know why. He's got a fancy new camera. Doesn't he look swell? Yeah! Welcome all. Welcome to Primetime. Tuesday night. Time to nerd out about guitars. And tonight, our special guest back for his third round of rapid fire, Mr. Bob Taylor.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Say hello to Lindsay Love. Lindsay, what's happening?
What's up, everybody?
Welcome to Primetime.
I got a question right out of the gate. Jay, why the Oakland A's hat? Don't you know that Bob Taylor is the biggest Oakland A's fan on the planet? You know the deal,
Definitely.
Evan.
Are the Oakland A's in Oakland?
Yeah, they're in Oakland. Yeah, the Athletics. No, you know why I'm wearing this hat? I'm wearing this hat because I don't give it enough time. So I figured, you know what? The A's need some time, so I'm wearing it. Anyway, welcome back, Bob.
Thank you very much. Dig being here.
I appreciate not getting fired a few episodes ago. We had your buddy Tim Lawrence on last week. He taught us how to say your name or his name. And
I watched it.
He said that you didn't say it that way. Why not?
When I met him at the American Dream, he was Larank. He'll always be Larank to me. I don't have to change with the times. Only the important ones.
Hi, Lindsay. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Jay?
Awesome. Thanks for the
Good.
song, Andy.
Yes.
Man, so good to see you guys here on Tuesday. Welcome to Taylor Primetime. We're back for the 28th episode. We did this 28 times. Thanks, Bob, for letting us do this 28 times and not firing me.
I wouldn't fire you, Jay. You do too good of a job.
Ooh.
And then someone else would have to do it. And they might invite me on more often, which could be maybe people reach their tolerance limit, like chemotherapy, like any more would be deadly or something like that.
I know. Hey, we gotta just pepper you in every once in a while, but it's always great to have you here. And we got a ton
Well,
of
I do
questions.
answer questions faster than anybody.
You answer questions
I hope-
way
I
faster
hope-
than Andy
I hope
Powers
the
for
record.
sure.
I'm like,
Way
batter
faster.
up, boom. You want to know the answer? The
Yeah.
answer to that is because we don't want to.
Oh,
Ooh,
Sometimes that's the answer.
there's going to be a couple of those tonight.
you're totally right. You read the question?
Yes.
Yeah. You read the question. So you guys know how this goes. This is a rapid fire show. We're going to talk to Bob for a little bit. We got a couple of segments we're going to do real quick, and then we're going to get going with a rapid fire. Ask Bob. All right. This is exciting. This is a fun show. We always love to have this. And he will go long. So if you want to spend the next 3.5 hours with us, Bob he won't shy down. You know what I'm saying?
I can shut you down. I could be like closing with the bars. I mean, really,
That's true.
1:30 at night, 2:30. I'd be like, so what? Where'd y'all go? Were you sleepy? Did you have to go to bed?
It's so good. I love it when Bob gets
True.
Bob's on fire for round 3. This is going to be great.
Yes.
But before we go any further, hey Andy, we don't really have a hug your haters tonight, but we do have a show the love. So do you want to play a theme song for us?
Show the love. Everybody needs a hug these days. Maybe now more than ever. Remember, keep your hugs distant or virtual. Don't gather in crowds and exhale politely. All you weekly viewers, thanks for watching our show. We're sending you love from our show. Please stay safe with your family. We appreciate you more than you know.
Wow.
That's good.
Wow, you just went there with that. That was fantastic. That's it. We don't really have a hug your haters. We don't. We have a show the love. We wanted to thank each and every one of you who dive in with us every Tuesday on this Guitar Nerd Talk show. Yeah, we do talk a lot, but that's fine. That's what it's about. So thank you very much. We appreciate you. Stick around. Tonight's going to be a really good show.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob, you haven't joined us for our new segment called What Are You Listening To? Do you have a song for this? Yeah. Okay, the point here, is, ladies and gentlemen, is Andy plays music, and it's really great.
What's new? What is new? What are you listening to? What are you listening to?
That's it.
I love
I
Huh?
love it. Bob,
I dig it.
what are you listening to lately?
Steely Dan, Can't Buy a Thrill. And then I get on Brooklyn, Knows the Charmer Under Me. It's so good. And then I play it like 5, 6, 7 times. And then I move on. And so love that album, one of my all-time favorites. And then listen to some Christmas music. So I'm going on like Apple, iTunes, whatever you.
Apple Music.
Apple Music, that's what we call it. Music, that's the word. And I'm just letting it throw at me some new stuff, which is really kind of cool. But then the next thing you know, man, I want to hear Brenda Lee and Bing Crosby. I got to get a fill of that. But one of my favorite Christmas albums actually is an instrumental by Dan Crary, Blast from Our Past, a long time ago. He did one with guitar and like some bluegrass stuff, and it's really good. And so I've been listening to that too. And then another thing is I have 18 versions of Oh Holy Night on my iPhone, and I line them up and play it in a row. My favorite Christmas song.
That's
Wow.
great. 18 versions. Do you then
I
put
have
that
18
on loop
versions.
so you listen to it multiple times? 18 times
Yeah,
in
and
a
sometimes
row.
I try and get other people interested in it. And every once in a while I get a taker, but usually they're like, what?
One time before we get into everybody else, but one time I was going on a trip when I lived in Los Angeles to Vegas for a show, and the guy, it was back when we used to burn CDs, right? And I burned a CD for us to listen to in the car, and I didn't, but my buddy showed up, and he said, "Hey, I burned a CD for us," and I put this CD in. It was a mixtape, so right, Lindsay, you'll love this. It was R. Kelly's remix to Ignition 12 times in a row. And every single time we heard it, we would get really excited. Okay. Lindsay, what are you listening to?
Oh my goodness. I'm not quite, I'm listening to some Christmas music, but it'll be really heavy starting next week. But Songs in the Key of Life, I've been playing that a lot lately. Stevie Wonder's, and just kind of like shredding and jamming over that album, which is ridiculous. And then some newer stuff is a guitarist named Tom Misch. He's out of the UK and he's like ripping guitarist, producer. He has an album with Yusef Days, and it's called What Kind of Music? And it's really, really good. Tom Misch, do yourself a favor.
Thank you.
You're
Andy,
welcome.
Are you still listening to the same thing you were listening to last week? Or what are you listening to?
No, I haven't got into the Christmas music thing yet. But last night I was just doing some organizing around here, and I listened to Debussy for about 2.5 hours. There's this great, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It's a pianist named Pascal. It's spelled Roge. I don't know if it's Roger or it's French maybe, but it's just Debussy music. And man, I could.
It's Laurent.
It's Laurent. That's right, Pascal Laurent.
Laurence.
But it's also I remember that's a record I've put on a lot when I'm on planes. Like it's just you can kind of get it at a volume where it sits back there and you just kind of trip out. And man, it's beautiful music. I love Debussy, and listening to it last night reminded me of a famous John Lennon quote where he says, "All music is rehash." You know, everything you think is original has already been done. You know, and there's only 12 notes, right? So. But like last night in listening to this, I never heard it before, but I heard like Gershwin in the Debussy music, and I heard the first 2 bars of "Girl from Ipanema," like exactly there it is, like it was already done, you know. But it's beautiful music. I love that. Love Debussy.
Hey Jay, before we hear you, can I say one more thing?
You can say as many things as you want.
This guy named Josh Turner Guitar, the YouTube guitarist. Have you guys watched him?
Yes.
I can't get enough of him. Unbelievable. I mean, he must have 500 videos. I'm not talking about Josh Turner for all you people listening, who's the country artist. You have to go to Josh Turner Guitars, that YouTube channel. Man, I can't get enough. Sometimes my wife will come in the room and she's like, "You listen to that Josh Turner again?" You know, because I'll be there for 2 hours watching his videos. What a guitar player and singer, and all of his friends that he brings on to play. It's just good music, and I love it.
Yeah, he's wildly talented. It's if you haven't seen Josh Turner Guitars on YouTube, again, it's youtube.com/Josh Turner Guitars. I think it's bonkers. He's wonderful. I think we figured him out around the same time, and you brought it up, and then I dove back in, and oh man, he's good. So I'm listening to 2 records this week. The Historical Conquests of Josh Ritter. This is for my boy Gabe. He actually bought me this album because I didn't know much about Josh Ritter, and then I fell in love and got all the rest of the albums. But here's a question for everybody. How do you feel about greatest hits? I personally, being a music snob, I love them.
Oh, love them.
You don't? You love them?
Oh, I love them. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was the best $3 record I ever got in my life.
Yeah. Yes.
Dolly Parton.
Yes.
Dolly Parton's greatest hits. The Queen.
Yes.
Our family.
I just watched a documentary on her, and it's like the 5th Dolly Parton deep dive I've done. I'm so all about Dolly Parton.
Yeah. Did you watch her Christmas special on I think it was Sunday?
No, I missed it.
It was on ABC. It's always good. She's just so good. And she's a great storyteller.
I know it.
Oh, she's a treasure.
She's so great.
Yeah.
She's so good.
We could go on for hours. We could do a whole episode on Dolly Parton because it would be incredible. Yeah. But we can't. People came here for a rapid fire Ask Bob. And so that's what we're going to give them. But before we start, Bob, where in the heck are you sitting?
Well, I've been having set envy with Andy. And actually your set looks
really good today.
But I love Andy's he floats in that black. And Jay, yours is really cool. Lindsay, I got to tell you.
I'm going to step it up.
I had a guy named Paul Brown. He's a blast from my past. We were out camping. One time he came up and said, "Bob Taylor, you're a great guy and all. You make good guitars. You lead a lot of people. It's really something. But your tent is a piece of crap." And ever since that day, I've had a good tent. So
tell me, I'm going to step it up.
So I stepped up my thing here.
Yeah.
And what you need to do, Lindsay, is you need to get rid of the drape to the wall transition that shoots out the top of your head.
I know.
So,
but I have a bunch of musical equipment here, just tons of it. And so
you got to point that way.
Point towards all my gear.
Yeah. So I have this, I call it a man cave, this building across the street, my shop's in it. And I had all these guitars, right? And I needed a place to do it. So I had marketing some years ago build me this room, like one of our Taylor premier rooms that we built. Check this out. Look at all my guitars in there. I had to cull the herd. I think I sold about 20 some guitars, and I sold them all through Reverb. Terry Myers took care of it, and nobody knew that bought one of those guitars that was one of my guitars, because I didn't want to cause a ripple in the forest. Oh, Bob Taylor selling his guitars. I heard it was bad out there, or something like that, Then the Reverb guys were like, you did what? You should have given it to us. We would have sold them as a collection. I'm like, yeah, maybe I should have. But anyways, I called the herd, and I have a bunch of really cool stuff here. And the other day I was getting ready to do a Zoom with some engineers up at Fender. We were talking about some techie things, and I was over here, and I'm like, hey, maybe I'll do it in there. It worked out good. So when you actually gave me this last minute invite, I'm like, yes, I get to use my room. Because it's a good set, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
It is a good set.
It's beautiful.
You got some good guitars over there.
Really good guitars.
There's some really cool guitars.
Wow.
Did you want to take a tour of them?
Kinda.
Well, there was a guitar that I wanted to bring, but I couldn't get into the cabinet that it's locked in, which is my high school guitar. But
It seems like you might have a key to that. You don't have a key to that door, huh, Bob? You need to talk to somebody.
no, I have people for that, Andy. But COVID took my people away.
Okay.
Okay, see this? This is my 1978 810. The first 810 was scallop bracing back when we did that. And it's the guitar. It was my working guitar when I used to really play a lot. And I played this guitar for 20 years. Check it out. It's got holes here where there was, let me see. Maybe you could see those holes where there was Bartolini preamp in there. And then it has a crown mic in the sound hole and a Fishman pickup. It's the Fishman blender, but what a lot of people don't know about the Fishman blender is that the very first ones we made at Taylor Guitars, and Kurt went down to Radio Shack and wired up the blending boxes, and we called them Listug boxes. And it had a crown microphone, this little crown lapel, and a Fishman pickup, and then this little Listug box, and we made them, and they sounded great. And then we talked to Larry, and he started making them. And I have this old American Dream guitar, Brazilian Rosewood guitar. I have one of the first 900. This is the first 900 series inlay ever made, right there.
Wow.
And it's cutaway. This was made, I guess, this guitar is made in 78, so it's 42 years old now. And this guitar was made about the same time. Look at the maple on that thing. It's crazy. And here's a guitar I made some years ago. Let's see. That's a 510 mahogany. And I made this guitar without the use of machines. It was I made it totally by hand. I was teaching someone who was going to start training people how to start a training program. And so with her, we made these two guitars together. She still has one. It's Zach's wife, Robin, Zach Arndt's wife. And so she's got a matching one to that. Here's a cool electric guitar that we built a book with that has the tree this guitar was made from on the day it was planted. Cujo guitar, like the first of our sort of artists. And then I have a bunch of anniversaries. 25th anniversary, the first NT necks. These are all our Taylors. And let's see if I can get this one. Check this out. This is the fabled tree. Tim talked about it. Look at the wood on that. Mahogany.
Wow.
Lord Almighty, wow.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that something? That's one of the first of our armrests we ever did on this Art Taylor. I have 3 Liberty trees over here. The T5 Liberty tree, the baby Liberty tree, the Liberty tree. I have this original baby that has the actual, where's the mic? Has a little purple baby written on it. I don't know if anyone remembers those.
Yep.
And I made it with this really cool koa that's like so flamey it's stupid. And this was the 35th anniversary. 35th anniversary. And I think if anyone's ever seen the inlays for that, they're beautiful. And I asked my friend Greg Daring, I go, man, I'm out of inlay ideas. I can't design another inlay and I suck at it anyway. And Greg, I go, will you design my 35th anniversary inlay? And he like sits down and in 2 hours draws this whole inlay pattern. He goes, yeah, you can have it. And I just want to use it on my 35th anniversary. So a year later, when Daring Banjos hit 35, they used the same one. And I have some various other guitars here that are cool. I cherish this one. It's my Collings CJ that Bill made for me out of some Brazilian that I sent him. And yeah, I miss Bill Collings. Bill was a wild man, but one of my dearest friends. Bill was really good at taking you to the brink of uncomfortability, like right to the precipice, and then leaving you there. This is a Lakewood guitar made by my friend Martin Seeliger in Germany. His company is really neat. So that's kind of a real quick tour, but every one of those guitars is kind of cool.
Kind of cool.
Kind of cool.
That's the best quote of the night. So, guys, that's one of the trivia questions. I'm just going to give it to you right now. Are those guitars kind of cool? True or false? All right. Wow, Bob, we didn't expect that, but that was cool. I think you.
Sorry for the camera work. I was carrying my iPad around.
I think that was perfectly fine. Everybody's drooling and geeking out in the feed right now. So that was excellent. I think it's a perfect time to segue into rapid fire.
Yeah.
Right on.
Hey, Andy, take it away.
He started this thing in 74 with a couple of bucks and a leaky shop floor. Back again for round number 3. Here's a chance to ask PT on rapid fire. Rapid fire.
I love it.
All right, here's how it goes. Rapid fire. Each of us, starting with Lindsay, then Andy, then me, we will do a question at a time, and Bob will answer them as fast as he can. And just a little shout out real quick. You know how exciting this show is? Not only is my mom watching, my older brother might be watching, but both of my daughters are watching.
Wow.
No pressure.
Girls,
That's
your
amazing.
dad is a nerd. It's okay if you hang up early. All right? It's fine. I just had to let them off the hook. Right?
Yeah.
Here we go. Lindsay.
Let's do it first. Number one question at the top says, Bob, how do you really feel about urban ash as a tone wood? Can you give examples and comparisons to other tone woods? That's from William.
Hey, William, we love it. I love it. Andy loves it. It reminds me and Andy of the mahogany, the pattern grade mahogany from back in the 60s. Now, Andy wasn't alive then, but he was able to get wood from then that was old. And it's like the same weight, it's the same ring, and we call it the golden retriever of woods. It just wants to make you happy. Everything about it is a wood that's good is good for a lot of reasons. And that's what we love about it. The tone is just great. And I would compare it to mahogany more than anything.
Thank you, Andy.
We have a question from Billy who wants to know, how important is it to have the exact correct style, brand, gauge of strings on a specific model? In other words, how important is it to have the strings that we send on tailors on there all the time? Is that important?
I think if a guitar is, okay, first of all, you're going to damage the guitar? No. The strings that you want for the style of music you play or the feel that you're looking for, do it. It's not going to hurt anything. The worst that's going to happen is the worst. It's not even the worst. The most that's going to happen is you might have to tighten a truss rod or loosen a truss rod if you put higher or lower tension on it. But what we put on there is what we had in mind when we designed the guitar. But man, you could turn that guitar upside down and play it any way you want.
Right. Upside
Do you
down.
agree with that, Andy?
I would agree with that. I think that that's one of the things that people have to go through in their journey on guitar playing is they have to learn about the picks they want to use, the strings they want to use, the gauges they want to use,
Yeah.
pickups, amplifiers, all that stuff is part of getting your sound.
Yeah.
Agreed. And if you're Rob McGargle, you play upside down anyway and
Yeah.
backwards. So.
And if you're Terry Myers, you use a quarter as a pick.
Oh yeah. Well, that's how.
And he sounds better
He sounds great.
than you do.
He does.
Much better than I do.
Well, I mean, you in the proverbial sense, Jay.
But I mean, Terry Myers. We all met Terry Myers. They all met Terry Myers. Terry Myers is. I mean, there's nothing that uncool about Terry Myers.
No, not at
Right?
all.
I mean, he's one of the coolest looking people. He's okay. Deep
Never
dive.
mind.
Back to this Q&A. Q for Bob by Alan. Doyle Dykes is one of my guitar heroes. How did you meet Doyle, and how did he come to have a signature Taylor?
So I was minding my own business in the shop one day, and TJ Baden, who worked for us at the time, came out and got me and said, "Hey, man, I want you to come in and hear this guitar player that came down." I came in, and there was Doyle. Never seen him, never met him. And I sat down in the conference room. We started playing, and he was playing actually hymns out of the hymn book from church. And I recognized all those songs because I know all those songs. And so he would hear me humming along, and then he realized I know those songs. He knows those songs. So we sort of have that in common. And I thought, I said to him, your chord structure and the way you play those songs is like the way a church pianist would play that song, not like a guitar player would do it. And he goes, "Man, that's strange you would pick up on that, but yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to do." And he gave me some stuff about that. And what actually had happened is, if I remember correctly, Wayne Charvel guitars, Doyle was playing some of his stuff, and Wayne thought that Doyle needed to come meet us. And Doyle's like, "Man, I don't need to meet another guy who makes guitars." And I'm kind of like, "I don't need to meet another guy who wants to endorse my thing." So we both sort of came into that. And the guy who was running Barkus Berry at the time actually drove Doyle down and forced him into that room to meet us. And we were just instantaneous friends. So I remember that day. And then we did music, or we did stuff together for a long time. Finally, the Doyle Dykes model we made, and Doyle played acoustic guitar kind of like it was a Telecaster. He liked the distorted sound. I remember one Doyle played through this Paul Rivera amp like an ear-bleeding volume, and we were setting up for some gig, and it was in like maybe a 800-seat auditorium, and the guy from front of the house clicks on and goes, "Doyle," right through the speakers, "your amp is so loud, I can't even turn the mic on and run you through the house." And Doyle looks at the microphone and goes, "Yeah, that's how I like it." So anyways, that's Doyle. He played loud, he played fast, and Doyle brought a lot to the whole guitar world. I mean, it gave magazines at that time somebody to talk about. It was awesome.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from Peter, he says, "Are we ever going to have a traditional dreadnought in the lineup again for 700s, 800 series, but I think in general?"
I don't think so. We're trying to. We want to be Taylor guitars, and so a traditional dreadnought is a Martin guitar, and our shapes. We've worked really, really hard on our trade dress, and I'm going to say this to all you people who think about building guitars: it's really hard to take a pencil and put it down on a piece of paper and start drawing an electric guitar and it not turn into a Telecaster. Or start drawing an acoustic guitar and it not turn into a Martin Dreadnought. So it's actually hard. It takes a lot of work to draw to design the Taylor style. And it came, as the years went on, we thought we just want to have more of our style. So we came up with a Grand Pacific, and we don't plan to make that Dreadnought that's Martin-esque, because I just want to give them their space and we'll have our space. I think it's kind of like fair play for a major brand. If I was a smaller company, I would pick the best guitars, and I would try and make those. But in a way, if you're like a big band, you want to write your own music and you don't want to sound like another successful band. And in a way, that's so it's an emotional thing for us, right?
Awesome. Yeah.
Andy.
I have a question that I might be able to answer. Bob, since you're the guest, you can answer this. But I was thinking about this one. It says, Charlie says, after learning the best way to select a Taylor guitar, I've found it impossible to find the models in stock that I need to compare side by side. Taylor guitars are either selling so fast that you can't keep up, or your authorized dealers aren't maintaining adequate stock. Which do you think it is?
Fasten your seatbelts, everybody. We have 100,000 guitars on order at Taylor right now. 100,000 guitars. Mm-hmm. And we're making 700 and something guitars every single day. So we can't keep up. You want to take a stab at it?
Yeah, you're right. And part of it it's both is true. I think that the authorized dealers are wanting to maintain adequate stock. We simply do not have that at the time, and it's just 2020. We went into it, and then guitar sales have gone through the roof, not only for our brand, but for everybody who's staying at home, who's not traveling, who's picking up new hobbies this year. And we had to shut down for a long time. We were lucky. We had guitars in stock to ship in March and April. We had a warehouse full, but we sold them all. And then we had to shut down for a while, and then we had to learn how to run a factory safely, right? So you can comment on that more with more knowledge than I can, but we're trying, and Charlie, we're trying to get them out there, and just keep contacting those stores that have Taylor rooms and Taylor walls and preferred online dealers. That's your best chance to find a guitar these days.
That's right, and the demand is global.
Yeah,
Andy knows this because you don't even sell guitars to U.S. dealers, Andy.
Nope.
And it's like your territory is just crazy.
Starved. Yeah, they're starved.
Yeah. Sorry. We would, if we could make them, we would. In fact, we increase production at least every month. It's a steady climb. We'll make more guitars next year. We'll make less guitars this year because it's hard to recover from 6 weeks of being closed, right? That was a lot of guitars that didn't get made at 725 guitars a day, but next year, I think we'll make more guitars than ever.
I believe the first time, it was maybe the very first Primetime episode, and we talked about the waste management companies out there. And you brought up a topic. You said, look at that. What would happen if we close our factory for one day? But Waste Management does it every time there's a holiday. It's not like they're on Christmas, they're out there picking up the trash. But by that next week, they've made up their time and they're back on schedule. How do they do that? It was really, I would say, we really want to give a shout out to our production, our men and women who are making guitars and building guitars every single day in both factories. I mean, they are working blood, sweat, and tears at socially distanced spacing, and they're doing a heck of a job. That's for certain.
Yeah, and so is our human resources department.
Yeah.
It's a tough year for them. And let me just say, if y'all just kind of want to know what it's like, if one person gets symptoms and they start feeling poorly, and then they go out and get a test, and get tested positive for COVID, then we have to contact trace all the people that work around them at Taylor and send them home for 2 weeks of quarantine while they get tested and get through the 2 weeks. So one person ends up taking out 6 or 7, and we can have 40, 50 people gone from the factory floor at a time. Luckily, we've had 0 spread from person to person, 0 on the Taylor Guitar factory floor, because our system, it's a safe place. So someone can bring it in from something they did, a wedding, a family event, whatever, wherever, it comes through the air. And we haven't had any spread, but we still lose people. It's quite a year.
Mm.
Yeah.
And they're doing a heck of a job.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I got a question. Bob, can you do a Brazilian wood project like you did with Ebony and you're doing with Koa? Any hope of a Sollywood Taylor Brazilian under 5K?
The answer is there's no reason to do it, because Brazil is loaded with Brazilian rosewood. There's no reason to plant any. It's all over the place, and they use it down there. But it's on CITES 1, and the exportation of it from their country is what's under control. And at some point in time, when that wood grows to a point to where the environmental community and all 278 or something, countries look at it, and somebody runs it up the flagpole, and it has to be a range state to make a change. And Brazil is the range. A range state means that's where that wood grows. They could bring it back on by themselves, but there's a lot of Brazilian rosewood growing. It's not an extinct tree. If it had kept going like it was, it would have been. But it's 20 years of really not being exported. So the answer is, if I planted one, it's going to be 200 years before you see it. But there are already trees growing there that are old enough. So it just needs to reach a safety point where people want to put it back on the menu.
Well
Awesome.
said.
Mm-hmm.
Lindsay.
Yeah, Neil in the chat wants to know, he wants to know, was there a single event that stoked your passion for environmental stewardship?
Wow.
That's a good question.
No, I can't think of very many single events that changed me overnight, except for the one when I got about 5 days into building my first guitar, and I said to myself, I have to do this. I have to do this. And another one was when Augie Laprinzi, who was a guitar maker, said to me one day when I told him I made 10 guitars at a time, he goes, Bob, what would you rather have, 1 done guitar or 10 half-done guitars? And it changed my production instantly. I'll never forget that day. But with environmentalism, I saw the writing on the wall, because wood was getting harder to get. So one of the first things I did was like find Waldo. That's what we call it in our room. It's like we try to find the guitar in the piece of wood, and that's why we'll make like the 2-piece wedges, 4-piece backs. We use wood and we make nice guitars out of it, because a long time ago we thought, what's the very first thing that you can do environmentally? And that's not waste what you already have in your hands, right? And so we started that, and it just grew from there. But I think that when I landed in Cameroon, and I'm going to say this coming Valentine's Day, that's coming up next year, will mark the exact 10-year anniversary of our first trip and starting the process to operate in Cameroon. So it's 10 years of that already. And those early days there and seeing what I saw, I'm going to say, got me put high octane gas in my engine that was already running.
Nice.
Andy.
That's a question from Matt. For a player like me who is unable to afford a premium Taylor model and thus opted for a 214 CE Deluxe, how do I combat the stigma associated with laminate back and sides? I like the way my guitar sounds and looks, but if I mention laminates around those who can afford the Taylor Cadillacs and Mercedes, often I get unapproving stares as if their eyes are saying, "Laminates? Oh, it sounds so country club." So sorry. Keep saving, my friend. So what would you say to Matt, who's,
Choose your friends more wisely, Matt. Choose your friends more wisely.
right, right.
They have no business looking down their nose at you or your guitar ever. So I'm wagging my finger at those people who would say that kind of a thing. That guitar that you have is a killer guitar. One of my favorite things in the world is to watch young musicians come on The Voice or American Idol, and they sound as good as anybody on that stage with their 100 series, their Big Baby, their Academy, their GS Mini, their 200 series. That guitar is good enough to last you the rest of your life. And if there's stigma, don't let it ride in your mind, Matt.
Love it.
Choose your friends more wisely. Wag your finger at them. Tell them I said so.
Also, Matt,
Don't make me come down there.
listen to the entire Elliott Smith catalog. All those records that he made were done on a red label Yamaha guitar that was probably $120 when he bought it. And those songs are beautiful. The song is more than the price tag of the guitar, more than the features of the guitar. The music you make is way more important.
Big time, big time. I remember seeing this coffee table book that was huge, and it was pictures of tree landscapes. Unbelievable, these photographs. But when you read the cover of it, it was a project that a photographer did, and every one of those pictures was taken on purpose with one of those wide-angle landscape Kodak 126 disposable cameras you used to buy in the drugstore. It wasn't the camera
Yeah.
that took those pictures. It was the photographer.
Your
Right.
eyes. Your eyes, it's your mind, it's how you write something. That's
Yeah.
true. We work with Billie Eilish and Phineas, and Phineas will play live with a toy guitar because that he had a pickup put in. It's an honest to goodness toy,
Yeah.
right? Simply because that's the sound he heard when he wrote the song. So he's got all these wonderful guitars. He's got a custom 517 and she's got, whatever. And he'll get on stage and he'll grab the 517, play a song, and then he'll grab a toy and play the other song. That's just the way it works.
Cool.
I like how you're wagging your finger at these people. That's a good one. But I got a question from Alan in the feed. It's a good one. Bob, what's it like to have so many employees and their families dependent on the success of your business during such a difficult time with a pandemic?
It's a pleasure. I mean, a lot of people might say it's a heavy weight, but it's a pleasure. And one of the reasons it's a pleasure is because in the earliest of my days of building guitar, I found out that it was hard to make a living making guitars. And when I went around town and told people what I did, they were like, "Oh, you do that in your garage? Do you?" It didn't sound like a career. So as side by side, I made it a goal to be able to learn how to make good guitars and sell them, and to be able to make good jobs and careers for people. That's been an equal goal to the guitars for my whole entire life. All these people did not happen just by happenstance. It happened because that's what I wanted to happen. I wanted that to happen. I wanted people working here. And so for me, I look around and I see these people who are dependent on this. But you know what? The people aren't dependent on me. This company is dependent on the people, right? The people have just surpassed it. I'm dependent on Jay and Lindsay and Andy. Taylor we're all dependent on each other. And so it's a big group. And I don't want to sing Kumbaya when we're done. But what I'm saying is it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to watch it happen, watch everyone come together.
Some.
Wow. Lindsay,
Yeah.
follow that.
I'll follow it.
that.
I will follow that with something a little lighter. Mr. David in the chat says, "Okay, here you go, Mr. Taylor. Who's your favorite all-time guitarist and the best guitarist all time?" Maybe two separate questions. Yeah, that might actually be.
I can't pick the best. My favorite all-time guitarist, I'm going to have to say, is James Taylor. He's the one who really started doing stuff that nobody did. He did stuff that's not easy to figure out. and his sound was always great. And I love the way James Taylor plays guitar. Is he the best player? Who's the best player? I don't know, but
Tough
James
question.
Taylor comes to mind every single time.
Good answer.
Andy.
Doug wants to know, he says he has a big old elm tree that just died. I'm having some wood milled from it to make some furniture. Have you ever made a guitar from elm?
I've cut some elm into sets because we've cut some urban elm. And elm would make a good guitar. It would definitely make a good guitar. So I haven't made a guitar out of elm, but a lot of times I get asked Bob questions like, how do you guys know? What testing do you do to see if a wood will sound good? Well, we could pick it up and bend it and tap it and hold it and tell whether it's going to sound good. We can do that just like a chef can pick up some vegetables and know if it's good or not, and also know what it tastes like, right? So you can imagine the ingredients and the way it's not like they make some dish and then they go, whoa, I'm surprised it tastes like that. He was driving at some. We do the same thing. Elm would make a great guitar. Don't look for an elm model. We don't have room for it in the line.
Hey, my dogs are barking. My dogs agreed with that. This is a question from Jacques. Is that how you pronounce that? It's French. It's like Laurence.
Jacques.
We'll go with it. Bob, I imagine that your success is partly due to those you gather around you. What is one or two traits or characteristics that you look for in people that surround you?
Number one, high tolerance for ambiguity. And I would say if you're going to help us, you've got to be ready to work in a conceptual realm. So a lot of us like, show me what my job is and let me do my job. And it's like, well, okay, but how about let's talk about some concepts and see if then you can apply yourself to these concepts. So that's a trait that I look at. I think we need to have social behavior traits, because people need to be able to get along. And if someone's working in the factory, they got to have skills. You ever watch somebody with a tool that has no skills? That's just bad. But not everybody that works for us works in the factory. So a lot of times it's like casting a movie, right? Or a ball team or something. You got to get the right person at the right job. And sometimes they have transitional jobs. They come in and they do something like take Tim Whitehouse, who worked for us forever. I mean, he started out in production. He ended up being our photographer, right? So, but that flexibility and tolerance for ambiguity is something that seems to work out pretty well here. And people who go, okay, I don't need a crystal clear answer of exactly what you want from me in order to function. I think when someone's like that, I think that they have a lot higher capacity to add to what we're doing. Takes less management.
Takes less management. Lindsay.
Boom. Yes, from Alan in the feed. He says, have you ever considered a carbon fiber guitar?
No, I don't like carbon fiber guitars. And I would make a guitar out of any wood before I make a guitar out of carbon fiber, because they sound like carbon fiber. And I don't really like the way they sound. And I don't like the way they look. And I don't like the way I can dig that people make them, but it's not for me. I can dig that people play football, but it's not for me.
That's good.
Not for me.
There it is. Good. Amazing.
Yeah.
Your turn, Andy.
Lindsay, I can't believe we're still talking about this. This question is from Bob that says, I'm a proud owner of a 717E. I live in the Northeast and I have to use heat in the winter. How bad is it if I leave my guitar out on a stand and grab it to play whenever?
Yeah. Bob, you should listen to a lot of our past episodes about care for your guitar. It's humidity is so important. You do not want to dry your guitar out. Do not leave it on the stand. Do not
Put it in the case.
put it in the case. Buy a hygrometer.
And buy a hygrometer and put a Planet Waves, humidipack or something in there and keep it up. It's you're fighting. Nobody wants to fight City Hall, but also nobody wants to fight straight up physics. And it's like fighting gravity to think that somehow your guitar is special and it's not going to dry out. When you heat your house, I have steam heat. Well, the steam is inside the radiator. It's not in the air, right? I have forced air furnace. It doesn't matter how you heat the air. It really doesn't matter. You could heat the air from getting a bunch of people doing, Pilates in there and heat the air. But it's still, when you heat the air, the relative humidity drops. And so you got to watch out for that.
Yep.
Put it in the case.
Pay attention.
We got a question from Brian by email. My question is, has Carlos Santana ever played a Taylor? If so, which one? And does he own any?
I don't think so, but I don't know. I have no knowledge of Carlos Santana ever even playing an acoustic in front of anybody, so I don't really know. And he's a PRS guy. So if he was ever to play an acoustic, he would play a PRS, and it would just be wrong if he played a Taylor. I think it's wrong. And let me just say something else while we're on the subject. If James Taylor wanted to play one of my guitars, I'd say no, even though he's my fave, because he plays an Olsen guitar. And James Olsen, that's an association that is so important. And I think that people should stick with where they are unless there's a really, really good reason to live, because lives depend on it.
Love it.
Nice.
Your turn.
Yes. It just went away in the feed. Oh, here we go. From Danny Alvarez in the feed. He says, "Hi, Bob. I used to be a Taylor Guitars employee in El Cajon in the climate control department. Can you tell the story of your Cujo guitar?"
Well, I met this guy named Skylar Phelps, who lives up in the Sacramento area in Auburn, California. And somehow we met, and he called me one day and he goes, "Man, I just cut down the tree that was in the Cujo movie." What? Well, there's this tree. It's a big old walnut tree, and the dog chases the lady around the trunk of the tree when it's Cujo, when he's rabid, and they keep filming it. And I had to take it down because it was going to fall in the house. I go, "Really?" He goes, "Would you like to make some guitars out of that?" And I go, "Well, maybe. I don't know. This is kind of a weird idea." And it ended up that we got that tree, and it was really nice walnut. And so that was our first sort of thematic guitar we ever did. And Stephen King himself's like, "Yeah, that's cool. I'll sign the labels." And me and Steve signed it, and we sort of put the story of the Cujo's story on the fretboard, and we did it. It was fun. And we had a lot of fun with that. And that's the story behind it.
Andy.
So let's see, the trees that have come to you that are special like that: Liberty tree, the Cujo tree, that grafted walnut tree. I remember that, I think that solid body that's in your office right there was made out of that grafted walnut. Is there anything else that I'm forgetting that's like part of your history where you've done special things like that? Those are the ones, right?
Those are kind of the ones. And let me say this: if you want it, you can't get it. As soon as you want it, the answer is no. You got to let them just come.
Yeah.
You got to let them come. Emery from Appalachian Bluegrass called me one day and sent me an article telling me about the Liberty tree. Maybe you should get this tree. It just came down. Made a couple phone calls like, "Nope, you can't have that tree," right? And then one day it just came to me. It just came to me all on its own a year later. And I remember when I think it was 5 years ago, they they had to take down the tree that grew outside of Anne Frank's window. I've seen that tree. And people are like, Bob, you got to get that tree. It's like, well, if I want it, I can't have it. You know, there are way too many, that tree is way too important for me to make a guitar out of it. And I don't want to get in between, you know, Israel and anybody, right? and, and so anyways, I just let it go, you know. So most of these things I don't try very hard, but if they come, then I'll put some work into it.
Andy.
It's a question from Z Win, and this, I like this one. It says, I'm in a leadership role, and I would like to hear stories of what things you think you've done to create such an amazing culture at Taylor. It's obvious to anyone who takes a tour and sees the joy in everyone's faces.
Well, I would say that generally speaking, we take our work very seriously, but we don't take ourselves seriously. Two, we try our hardest to treat every single person with respect. Now, how do you manifest that? You know, the daily thing can kind of not be noticed, but when we fall on hard times, we treat people with respect when it really, really counts. And if we get back on good times, we try to make up the difference for what we ask people to sacrifice during the hard times. So sometimes you have to use money. It's not just respect. It's not just pat on the back. Three, we really do run this thing like it's a business. So, but I think that Kurt and I, if we can portray that it's not all about me and him, but it's about you too. It's about the employees. It's about them, you know, having a stake in it. I don't know. We try and keep people. In a way, it's kind of natural to me. I didn't really study how to do that, but I think we got a groovy thing going. A lot of times I say to myself, dude, we're making guitars. Let's not screw that up. You know, we're off to a good start. If all of a sudden that becomes the highest pressure, awful job of your life, it's like, what a fail.
We as a company, I would second that. We are all this weird eclectic group of overachievers, and all of us work and put in endless hours and never, you know, I don't hear a lot of complaints. And if I do, you know, maybe I'm ignoring them or tuning them out. But I would say you and Kurt have done that, where at the end of the day, we're making guitars. That's it.
Yeah.
And if you kind of look at it as an employee sitting at, you know, outside of you, Bob, but as an employee sitting here, that's kind of how we feel. We're making guitars, and guitars are really cool. You've said it before. It opens many doors. Guitars have opened many doors for really cool things. Lindsay and I get to work with really great artists. So does Andy. You should see some of the Japanese artists, and, you know, I mean, that we've had on our stage at NAMM that none of us have ever heard of. And then they come over here and it's like, guitars are really cool. So at the end of the day, I think we all have this mentality. We make guitars and they're cool.
Yeah. And I would say that we run a tight ship here.
Yeah.
But we try and provide the tools to run a tight ship. One thing I like to try and teach the people in the factory is, look, you've decided to be a craftsman to earn your living. So be a good one. And that doesn't, and that means you've got to earn a living with your hands. And to do that, you've got to be good and you've got to be speedy. And so we just try and lead people in the truthful ways, you know, of getting this stuff done. Lindsay and all of her experience in the repair department, she knows that we get down and do it. We knuckle down and do it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't hurt. And then sometimes I always love the Lawrence of Arabia scene where the guy puts out the cigarette on his hand. Lawrence is doing that, you know, and then this junior officer later tries to do it and he's like, ouch, you know, and he's like, how did you do that? And he goes, what's the secret? And doesn't it hurt? And Lawrence looks at him and says, yeah, of course it hurts. I just don't mind that it hurts. right? And I just love that, because sometimes we work hard, but we don't mind that we work hard. And that's right there is the rub, because if you're working hard and you mind it, that's a big difference between working hard and you don't mind it. So part of what I've tried to instill here, I guess, if I'm on the couch and you're digging deep, is we run a tight ship, but we don't mind it, which is a whole different thing than running a tight ship and we mind it, right? We don't like it. We like running a tight ship. And I think everybody that works for us gets a thrill out of being productive, right? And then we work on these concepts. So anyway, that's I guess 4 minutes of my business style.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody say, "Oh, I can't park there."
Right.
No, that's Bob's spot. Okay. Okay. I got a question from Roland in the feed. Why is your 324 CE case, why is it built in Mexico? Why is it made in Mexico?
When we first started the case company, we started it right here in El Cajon. We were in Santee, which is the next town over. It's 2 miles from here. And we started making them there. But as our costs went up, it became really difficult to compete with the stuff that's coming from China. So 20 some years ago, I started this small shop down in Mexico with the goal that in 10 years, we'll be glad we did. Didn't even know exactly what to do with that, but we started a small milling department and they started handling some wood. And the first goal that we had was for them to make the cases there. So remember, we live on a border, and our town that we live in, San Diego, is very bicultural, right? So if you live in a place like this, you kind of get it. And if you don't, you have to try and understand it by people telling you stories. But we're sort of a Mexican-American twin city, sister cities, Tijuana and San Diego. And so for us, we think it's fantastic to have a factory there, because it creates great opportunity for our neighbors, especially maquiladoras, because when they're owned and operated by Americans, we tend to reward people in an American way, and that doesn't happen in a purely Mexican factory. So that's a little politics, but normally the way that it works, if you go deeper in Mexico, is you got to be a son or a nephew of the owner to become a manager. But here, your performance does the trick, and so we love that. And eventually, we used that, and we moved our cases to there, gave them work, and it was really quite something. Everyone who made cases here, we bused them to Tecate for 6 months, and they worked side by side with people and trained them exactly how to do that job. And they came up, and we deployed them into making guitars, right? So that's why they're made in Mexico, because it keeps, well, let me say something that's even faster. Making them in Mexico keeps us from making them in China. So maybe people can dig that too. We can't make a case in the United States. Our wages are building leases. It's all too expensive to make a case. And a case is really hard to make. I think we spend more time making a guitar case than we spend making a baby Taylor, almost twice as much time. Let that blow your mind.
I just learned something new.
Yeah, me too.
Wow.
Wow.
Next.
And one's worth more than the other.
Yeah. From Raven in the feed says, "Hey Bob, have you ever started, or maybe thought about starting, an apprentice program?"
Not for outside people, because we're just too busy. But I would say for the people who come here, we have incredible training here. Just incredible. Everything that we do here, even outside of here, has got great training, hands-on apprenticeship. And so we do that for people within here. But no, I don't have the capacity to train up luthiers to go out and become a luthier. It's just out of our realm of possibility.
Yeah. Piggybacking on Raven had another question and asked, do you have a humidifier in that room with all your guitars hanging on the walls, Bob?
I absolutely do.
I know you do.
It's in the ceiling. It's all built into the HVAC, baby. It is in here.
And you have a hygrometer on the corner.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this room gets checked all the time on the rounds. What people might not know is we have a full staff of people who take care of humidity, air conditioning, heating in all of our buildings. We've got 250,000 square feet of space here, and we have almost 200,000 between all our warehouses and stuff down in Mexico. And humidity is top of our list. We've really learned how to control it where we can, live with it where we can't control it. And you guys have noticed these have been red flag days, right? Doors are closed and the red flags are out, you know? We pay attention.
A lot of people are saying, I was wondering about Bob's room. Sitting there talking about keep it in the case. They were about to call you out, but I knew, we knew.
Yeah. And the way that I'm facing right now, it's cool because you see 3 walls here, but the direction that I'm facing is all glass. It's like storefront glass. And then it looks out into the rest of this cool spot that I've got in my man cave here. And so it's completely sealed and all this humidity is controlled. So you can leave your guitars out of the case if you control your humidity.
Yes. Yeah.
Bob, I think it's okay to say this. You can fire me if I overstep real quick. If you guys in the feed could close your eyes and imagine what a Bob Taylor man cave looks like. Okay. You got that? Close your eyes. Yes. It looks like a miniature Taylor factory. It's not what anybody would really think of like a man cave with like a dartboard and some beers on the corner or a couch.
Do you want to see it? I'll tell you.
I mean,
He's taking us on a tour.
I think Bob's taking us on a tour.
I'll show you. What the heck? So now we're walking out, we're coming through, and well, this is where I can cook my lunch.
It's called the kitchen.
It's my kitchen. But I'll just take you right out here. Oh, I got to turn on the lights. Let's see. There's Wayne's cool dune buggy that he made all by himself. Look at that. Everything on there he made. And then this is my shop, my Fidal, my CNC router. I have a motorhome in here. I have all my tools where I build my. This is my favorite part out here. This little. So check out these tools. Let me see if I get this right. Those are all my woodworking tools, my dust collection, all that kind of stuff. So that's the quick rundown.
Yeah.
And this place keeps me from retiring because I'm 65. I'm going to be 66 next year. But when I can come to work and spend, if I need to do a piece of furniture or something I'm building, or I can come over here, I can do it. Keeps me young.
It's awesome.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. You just saw the man cave.
Oh, there's my glass. See?
Yeah.
It's like I have my own storefront here. Isn't that cool?
That is cool.
Man cave.
Okay. We're going to
I just feel like that was an episode of Guitar Cribs.
Yeah. Guitar cribs. Did you build those kitchen cabinets?
No, I didn't. I had a friend of mine build them.
Okay.
But I do build an awful lot of furniture. One day we'll have to post the furniture I've made over the years.
That'd be amazing.
I make pretty good furniture.
I think
someone who used to work for us named Richard Berry. I was pretty good at making furniture, but he got me a whole lot better. The ones who built the cabinet back here. When Richard worked for me, I started taking furniture design lessons, and I quit making furniture like a guitar maker makes it, and I started making furniture like a real legit furniture architect and furniture craftsman would. And yeah, he really brought my chops up. Richard was a great guy. He retired a few years ago, but man, what a craftsman.
Wow, that was awesome. I didn't know that was going to happen. That's what we call spontaneous. That is Taylor Primetime at its best, right there. I think we should each do one more question for Bob, and then we'll roll to the end of the show. Is it your turn, Andy, or is it my turn? It's your turn. It's my turn. Is it Lindsay's turn?
It's your turn.
It's
Andy's turn. Andy's turn. I just asked a question.
You just asked. That's right.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it's
Andy.
Question from Tex. It says, "Hey Bob, Taylor Primetime evolved as a result of the COVID-19 restrictions on roadshows. However, some of us will never make it to a live roadshow. Since a workable vaccine is on the way, will Taylor Primetime continue in some form, possibly weekly or monthly after the restrictions are lifted, especially for us rural out of in nowhere fans?"
Well, I didn't start Taylor Primetime. You guys did. So how about you answer it? Because I don't know. I think we dig it.
Tex. We started Taylor Primetime just like you said, because we were trying to figure out a way to bring some information, some fun, and just be a ray of light in a weird, dark time, like you've heard me say before. The amount of love and generosity that you guys give us with just your time on a weekly basis to come hang out with us, yes, Taylor Primetime will continue. However, we are going to do one more episode this year, and then we're going to take 4 weeks off because we need to build season 2, and we have something really special coming to you at the first 2 episodes of season 2. So, yes, Taylor Primetime will happen. Like I said, good time to plug. We wanted to have Bob Taylor on before the end of the year. That's one. And next week, we will be doing a very special episode. Our guest will be the one and only Gabriel O'Brien. And at the end of the show, we will maybe bring on Mr. Paul Tobias so that we can do a trivia session with those two guys. So that is going to be the last show for the year. But yes, Tex, we hear you loud and clear. We get wonderful emails from everybody. I mean, how many emails do we get, guys, on like a weekly basis? We get people that have written us just to tell us, wow, this has gotten me through. So we're glad we can be here. We are nothing but guitar nerds, and we get to make guitars at the end of the day. This is fun for us. So yes, it will. That's my long answer.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I guess I have a question to ask. I'm getting to it. Dave, we hear you loud and clear. And so we're going to ask your question. Where is it? Oh my goodness. It's in here somewhere. I'm going to answer this one real quick, and then I'm going to ask Bob another one. The question is, we keep repeating, Bob, I've asked this question 2 times on previous Primetime episodes. Here it is. Brad, that's his name. I've asked this question on 2 other Primetime show episodes and never got an answer. Will Taylor Sense Hygrometer ever become available again? This seemed like a perfect device to check humidity on my Taylor guitars. I live in Colorado. Humidity averages about 24% inside my house. Do you know the answer, Bob?
I don't know the answer.
I know the answer. Yes.
I hope so, because I loved it.
Yes. When Dave Chiappetta was on the show a couple of weeks ago, he accidentally leaked that he was really excited that it's coming out. It is coming back. I don't have an exact timeline, but it is not that far away. I can tell you that.
I will tell you today that we've been saving all of the shrink wrap that comes through this factory in bundles, and I'm building literally a tower of it so that sometime next year, because so many things are about timing, we're going to put it out in front of God and everybody so that everybody can see how much of it goes through Taylor guitars. And then when we're all shocked and ashamed, I was out there with Scott Paul, right? I asked him to, it's like, I want to get rid of plastic. Now, we can't really live without plastic, but him and I looked at bales of it. We bale it in a baling machine. And if you look at that, it's not enough to ruin the world, but every business here in El Cajon has got that much too, right? And so it's on my list of something to be reduced drastically here at Taylor. And so soon we're going to go and we're going to build a tower of it in our parking lot, and everyone's going to have to go rub their own environmental, personal nose in it and go, okay, now what would I be willing to do in my daily work to forego the benefits of all these things that come in plastic or that we wrap in plastic just to move around. So when the time's right, we're going to do that. But in the meantime, I saw this other huge pile of stuff that we're getting ready to throw away, and it said Taylor Scents, and it was this first packaging thing. That was just today. And I'm like, well, what? And then I started looking into that, and it's like, yeah, well, we're repackaging it. So that told me today that, we are going to sell it again. But it also told me we have 7,000 Taylor Senses worth of this packaging, and we're getting other packaging. And it's like, thumbs down on that, So anyways, sometimes I find out about things totally by accident. And so now I found that out. You told me that Dave leaked it. So I think the answer is yes, we're going to sell Taylor Sense. And it was not an easy thing. It was a great idea, but it was very difficult to implement. It was harder to implement than we thought it was. And we were just thwarted at every angle. Writing.
We've been working on 8 years.
8
And
years.
I can tell you, we have another thing we've learned from Bob and Kurt is to be okay with failing, right? And doggone it, that tuner on the original Taylor Sense app was terrible. We know it. We hear it loud and clear. So we've made a new version of Taylor Sense, and hopefully we will be able to start talking about it soon. And
it is the coolest thing to put in a guitar.
And for those of you who don't know what Taylor Sense is a healthcare monitoring system for your Taylor guitar. It measures things like battery life, humidity, temperature, and impact. See, I've been doing all the videos lately, so I know the script.
And it downloads it to your iPhone, then it uploads it to the cloud, and we can spy on you.
Oh my!
It uses low energy Bluetooth with a smart battery box, and it connects to your Taylor Sense app on your iPhone or Android device. All
and
right.
it talks to you. It sends you. It literally will send you a notification if your guitar's getting too dry.
It's so.
Who doesn't
cool.
want that?
It's so handy.
I want it so
good.
bad. I just want to make it. So I'm glad to hear that we're continuing to work on that. And it might surprise people that I don't know absolutely everything that's going on in this company.
All right,
I know
Lindsay.
my way around my man cave right now.
You do.
Lindsay, one more. Andy, one more, and then we will move the show to the next segment.
Yeah, this question is in the feed from, I'm probably going to ruin the username, Pog Rondon, P.O. Grondin. What is your favorite electric guitars, Bob?
I have a Paul Reed Smith guitar. I may have mentioned it here before. This PRS is when Paul used to sign it with a pen, and he made it for me. So on the back, it's signed for Bob Taylor, hand signed by Paul Reed Smith. And I'm thinking, that's a cool guitar. One day, I think two of us have got to get good and dead, me and him. But after that guitar will be worth something. Who knows? And it's just sort of a neat thing, be a nice museum piece. I love that guitar. I have two Tom Anderson electric guitars, and I love Tom Anderson.
Tom Anderson's so good.
And I love Tom Anderson guitars. I really love it. And any everyday Telecaster is just good.
Yeah.
Just a Telecaster. Doesn't even have to be the one. It's a good guitar.
Yep. Awesome.
Amazing. I said it. Amazing.
Yep.
Andy, your turn.
We've already touched on this a little bit, Bob, but this last week we're under a stay-at-home order now in Southern California, and we all got some COVID red alerts on our phones today, and but maybe you could just give everybody a little bit of an update and how into how things are at the factory. How are we able to stay open, and how do you feel that we're doing there? And are we doing the best we can, keeping people safe?
Yeah, so early in the year, we re-outfitted this whole place. And so we have good social distancing. We also have people with a good head on their shoulders, which I think is a working brain with good coworkers is probably our best defense, right? Because people are following the rules and they're taking precautions, whether they believe in those rules and precautions or not. They're not hurting us, so we do them. And we're not rabble rousers. We're not trying to make an example of ourselves one way or the other out there. Our gates are locked. We're not open to the public. We come in, we keep a tidy shop, we take our temperature, we wash our hands, we clean everything. We have plexiglass set up between, places where we can, and our density is lower. We run more shifts. And in Mexico, we took basically a 1.5 shift company and turned it into a 24/7. We divided all our people into 4 groups, and they work 12-hour days, 4 days a week, 12-hour days, 3 days a week, another crew, and from 6 till 6, and then from 6 all the way till 6. So we run 24/7. Our Mexican employees are happy to do that because they want to make their livelihood. And we have miles between people there. We have this factory that can hold 600-700 people, and there's 125 people in it. So that's working. And we also took over all of the transportation. So we have our own transportation that gets people to work and back in a safe manner. So that's that. And then a lot of people are working from home. Everyone who can does. And the fact that we have really great relationships. Andy, I've seen more of you on Primetime this year than I ever saw of you in real time, because
Sure.
our paths go this way, and you go off to Asia for 6-8 weeks at a crack, and you come home and you're up here and I'm over there. And so, like, I know what you're up to, just keeping up with you on Primetime. So in some ways, Zoom meetings and GoToMeetings have really made a big difference for us. Is that the way of the future? I say no. It's part of the future, because we're using the equity of the personal relationships that we built in proximity. We're using that equity right now. And I think it would be very hard to build the camaraderie and the teamwork we have at Taylor, which is amazing. I don't know of any place like this. We built that and we're exploiting it right now, but I think it would be hard to build it over remote working. And so, yeah, we're doing all of these things. And right now, COVID cases are hitting us harder because it's just ramped. It had a good head start, and we came into winter, and we get on those things right away, and we just cope, get people home, get them better, and we just cope. And we're cautious. We're just cautious.
Well said.
I had a good conversation with Kurt and Monty the other day, and Monty said it really well. He said, "Is this the way of the future?" He said, "No, it's part of it, though."
It's part of it, yeah.
It's part of it. It's we are a very in-person business, and we will do that. But now we can do more business because we've learned how to operate this way. Really
Yeah,
great.
Look at the feed of this Zoom we're doing. It's as good as television. It's kind of amazing. And 2 years ago, you couldn't have done it. There's just no way you could have done it. And then I'll say one more thing. And I think all of us feel this way at Taylor, that there's nobody in the world that I would rather go through this with than our coworkers here. We got a groovy thing going. And when it's tough, we don't mind that it hurts.
True. All right. I think that was a heck of an episode of Rapid Fire with Bob. And this just means we didn't answer all your questions. We know we didn't, but we'll have to have Bob back on season 2 of Taylor Primetime. Now, you know what time it. Hey, by the way, it's Sharpie's question right now. And who's got Sharpie's question tonight? Here's why I ask. I think I do, but I asked Bob last Sharpie's question. So, Andy, do you want it?
Yes, Andy should do it.
Andy?
Okay.
Or do you want me to? I mean, I could do it, but it's you. Come on, it's only fair. He's got to think. You can write songs on the spot. Just write a question.
Well, there's like 2 questions in the song already for Bob, but you just caught me off guard here for a second. One thing that I'm not even gonna, it's not a question. Okay. It's a memory that I have that I want to just share with Bob for a second, because it meant a lot to me. And I think it sums up a lot of the things that we've been talking about tonight. And I don't know if you remember this or not, Bob, but you and I were in Memphis together in like 2007 or something, when Eric Martin opened his new shop, Martin Music. And Eric is a tremendous guitar aficionado who's got a great store in Memphis. And if you're ever in town, you got to go to his shop. But as part of his grand opening, he was inviting John Larrivee and Bob Taylor and Bill Collings and Paul Reed Smith, and all the main guys came out to help him celebrate his opening. And I was super nervous that night because I was doing my little roadshow spiel, right? I had the first 45 minutes and then Bob had the second 45 minutes, right? That's how it was billed. And for some reason, Eric, you had no chairs there that night. Everybody's sitting on the floor. The only person who was standing was Bob Taylor, who was standing, leaning against a big pillar in the middle of the store, basically like with his arms crossed, just listening to me speak, right? Like no pressure, right? For my 45 minutes, and I'm telling stories and trying to be entertaining and hoping that my stuff is halfway true. But one of the main things I remember about that night was, besides being really happy when I didn't have to lead the presentation any longer, was that one of the questions from the audience that night was, what are you going to do, Bob? What are you going to do when you're no longer around to run Taylor Guitars? And I always remember that you answered immediately without hesitation. You said, the best thing I can do for my company right now is to teach other people how to run it. And I was just like, ding, like that just set off, like I just made so much sense to me. And like I said, it's not really a question, but I think it kind of sums up a lot about what we've been talking about over all these primetime shows, and the basic philosophy, and the reason that we have 100,000 guitars on order is because of a lot of that thought that you and Kurt have put into it. And I just wanted to say thanks for that.
You bet. Kurt and I have been trying to work our way out of a job for decades. And, one thing that people might find interesting is neither one of us have a administrative assistant. We kind of do our own work, and we sort of feel like everybody here is our assistant, and we like to give away jobs. And so you guys know how to take care of Taylor Guitars. And a lot of people might think that they don't, but collectively you do.
All right.
I have such huge faith in the Borg, the Taylor Borg. Huge faith in your guys collectively to know what to do here.
Okay, so I just thought of something, Jay. So I can sing the 2 questions.
Okay,
We'll get these answers from Bob.
Sing the 2 Sharpie's questions.
I just have to delete a little bit of the lyrics.
Okay. So Sharpie's questions, for those of you who don't know, Sharpie started the show with myself, and Bob actually did the first episode. It was me, Sharpie, and Bob. And then Andy joined us, and he hasn't left yet. And when Sharpie left, it opened this door for the wonderful Lindsay Love. And so Sharpie went off. He left us to go, make beer. He's brewing beer. So cheers to Sharpie. Sharpie's
Cheers.
question, go.
We could ask him about diving for abalone on Pacific reefs. What are the best roads for desert driving? What is the best wood to smoke some beef? Those were the Sharpies questions, or they could have been the Sharpie questions. We could ask you about diving for abalone on the reefs. What are the best roads for desert driving? And what's the best wood to smoke some beef?
Okay. When I was a boy, we go down to, if I could have brought that guitar that was locked in the case, I would have shown you the abalone inlay on it from when I was 16 years old and made that guitar, or 17, I guess. And I caught those abalone because there were actually abalone off of our San Diego shores. And we could dive for them, skin dive, pop them off the rocks, eat them for a Saturday barbecue. Oh my gosh, that's so good. And then I started grinding down those shells and cutting pearl. And I learned how to cut pearl out of an Earl Scruggs How to Play the 5-String Banjo book, which I learned how to do from that book and some lessons from Walt Richards here in town. And in the back of it was how to build your own 5-string banjo. And he showed how to cut pearl with like little drawings and black and white pictures. So abalone diving in like that anymore. Let's just say that's gone. Except for up in the Eureka area of California, you can get a permit and you can dive and come back with a limit of 6 or 7 abalone. The best wood to smoke with, I'm going to tell you what is not the best wood. Mahogany is not the best wood. I prefer some good old American woods, although they do cook street meat with our discarded ebony scraps in Cameroon. And that stuff's pretty darn good. But oak, apple, whatever, it works really good. Mahogany is not a very good smoking wood, and it doesn't seem to hold heat if you do an underground thing. So that's my warning. Try not to smoke your meat on mahogany. Smoke some meat on cedar. That works good. Okay, the best roads for desert driving are the ones without pavement. I've managed to go to Baja twice this year, recently, and we're still able to drive across the border. And where I go, we're by ourselves and we're outdoors and there's no people, because when we go to Baja in our Land Cruisers, and I went with a couple people one trip and a few people the other trip, we're allergic to pavement and people. And when we get on the dirt roads, even the 2 tracks, you have to use your peripheral vision, like looking at stars to see the road because it's not apparent. Then you get to some places that nobody else is. And that's the beauty of it there. So I love that desert driving.
Cool.
Ah,
All right.
wonderful. You did it, Andy. You asked Sharpie's questions. We were put on the spot, and you did it.
Yep.
But it's the best time of the show right now. It is the best part of the show. It's 2 minutes of sports. Do you have a song for me?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
He's got to pull up the lyrics.
All right. Here we go. Pull it up. Pull up the lyrics.
So good.
We call it 2 minutes of sports, a lesson of sorts. Put on your favorite cap, we're all over the map. No time for a nap, we'll be done in a snap, 'cause it's 2 minutes of sports.
2 minutes of sports.
I
Bob,
hope everybody,
Bob.
I hope everybody appreciates Andy's guitar playing and all of this, because it really is superb.
I got to do videos with Andy the other day. He's really a good player. It's fun.
It really is.
Fun to hang out with Andy.
Yes.
This is truly, yes, I want to turn everything into a sports podcast, but the only reason we do this, truthfully, is so that we can hear the song. All right, Bob, you are a sports fanatic. We know this not. Okay, We know that you're not. You're not. But I just have one question. How do you feel about professional bull riding?
Well, I think I might rather get on a bull than to get into that cold Pacific water and be a surfer.
Yeah, but you're from San Diego.
I know. It's the whole getting wet part that I'm not into. And getting wet with cold water, sorry. The Wim Hof thing is just over my head.
No?
Those bull riders, I got kin in Montana. That's where we sort of hail from. And so there's bull riders in my family, and you got to respect them, but they're nuts. They're crazy to do it.
PBR. There's some good documentaries on bull riding. You guys should watch it if you haven't watched it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I don't think I could be a bull rider and a guitar maker at the same time.
Lindsay, could you ride a bull?
No, oh gosh, no. And I wouldn't even try. That's not what I do.
That's not
Not what I would do.
Andy, could you ride a bull? Have you ever ridden a mechanical
I
bull?
wanted to, Jay, but I just don't want to.
Yeah.
I could do that if I wanted.
Of course.
I
Yeah.
wanted to.
Of course.
I rode a mechanical
Well-
bull once, and I swore that I would never ride a real bull. That's for certain. That's one thing I learned. So,
Right.
all right.
I got to tell you, those guys,
Right. They're strong. They're crazy.
it's unbelievable. I think the bravery to do that is off the charts.
It's insane.
It
All
is
right.
insane.
2 minutes of sports. We talked about bull riding. Thanks for your Sharpies questions. Now we have some trivia. Hey, the prize is the same prize as last week's prize. It's because that's what we have in stock. And it's an autographed copy of Bob's book. What a better prize. There's no better prize when we're on the show with Bob Taylor.
Right.
So do your friends a favor. If you won the book once, don't answer the question. That would be kind. But we got 2 questions, so we got 2 of them. You know the deal. If you win, please send us an email to primetime@taylorguitars.com letting us know you won, and we'll get your information and we'll send you a book. Bob does not know the answers to these questions, so don't phone a friend right now. He made it real clear at the beginning of this. I don't know. You had Tim on last week. He knows. All right. Ready? Question number 1. You guys are ready? You guys are ready. All right. What year? They're going to start ripping 1974 right now in the feed. Watch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's already happening.
It's already happening. What year did the Grand Concert debut? In what year did the Grand Concert Body Shape, Taylor Grand Concert Body Shape debut?
Down, 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 down.
Nope.
This is a good one.
It is. That's a good one.
Yeah.
2020.
2020.
Oh.
Oh, man.
Evan Smith.
Evan Smith.
Evan Smith.
Evan Smith got it. 1984. Congratulations, Evan.
Congrats.
Awesome. 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 They're still rolling in.
Uh-huh.
I'll let them finish before I start asking the next question. How's that? Oh, I wrote the next question. You guys don't even know what you're going to hear. Bob knows the answer to this one, though. All right, ready? The next question. You know the deal. You know the deal. If you win, you get a copy of Bob's book, and you got to send us an email. All right. We co-own an ebony sawmill in Cameroon called Creeley Cam. What is the capital city of Cameroon? What is the capital city of Cameroon where we have this fine sawmill? That's a good question, right? That was
A really good question.
People are looking it up right now.
Yeah, I mean, they can get to it fast if they're good on their phone. Nope. Cases. 1974. It keeps happening. What is the capital city of Cameroon?
Everybody's looking it up.
Yeah.
Eric Chang.
Eric Chang.
Yaoundé. Someone wrote Cameroon City. That's a good one. We could write us. You could write a
Cameroon
song
City.
called Cameroon City. Yaoundé. That is correct. Eric Chang came in first. Yaoundé. Excellent job. Send us an email and we'll send you your book. And yes, Bob he does sign these books. It's fantastic. All right. Bob, we appreciate you. Thank you for
Always.
coming on the show whenever we need you. And
I appreciate you guys.
Lindsay, it's always real hanging out with you.
It's the
Andy,
best.
we truly love your music. We do. And we want to hear it every week. And they have asked for a second season. So we're going to at least have to do another season. And you all for watching. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Someone has a question about torrefaction, but we'll keep that for next time, Bob.
Hey, let me just say to everybody out there, one of these days, you're going to hear Lindsay play the guitar and sing.
Yeah.
And it's going to blow your mind.
Ooh.
All right.
You're talking me up.
We
You're
actually
talking me up.
we actually have an episode called Getting to Know Lindsay Love. And that's you have to do this. And I'm putting you on the spot now, but I'm giving you many.
Give me some time to think about it.
You have
When
time
you got
to
when you
rehearse.
guys when you guys hear what a musician she is, you're just gonna love it. So keep tuning in.
Well, I'm going to sing and play. And because my boss told me to, I'm going to really upgrade my studio space in here and show all my gear next week. I'm just going to show the keyboards and the guitars and everything.
Yeah, man, show it all.
Budgets. All right, we're gonna hook this up. Next week she's gonna have a better. Oh, it's gonna be fantastic. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Next week we have Gabriel O'Brien, and we're going to talk about the Taylor Guitars Owners Group and maybe some other nerdy stuff. So, Andy, take it away.
What was it? What was it? Well, it was prime time. It was prime time. What the heck was it? What was that? Well, it was prime time. Well, that was another prime time. Show number 28. It's good to know our people are safe, building guitars on the Craftsman line. Thanks everybody for watching. It really makes us feel swell. Give it up for Mr. Bob Taylor and all he shares and tells us on Prime Time in Rapid Fire on Tuesdays. Prime Time. Good night, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Bob.